From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Beat the Champ with a pair of Hall of Famers, Sue Novoitsky and Sue Jeziorski. My name is Paul Peck. It's our final week here at Manor Lanes 2 in Amherst, and as we always do, Sue, in our fourth show, we're going to have a little fun. It's the Manor Lanes House League Championships. We've got some of the best bowlers from here at Manor Lanes 2 are going to try to take a little more Jim Russo's money and maybe even a trophy out of the deal.
Yep, we ran a qualifier for the last couple months of league bowling, and the bowlers had an opportunity to use their lane scores from league to apply to getting on Beat the Champ, and I know that the bowlers really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, for spending that much time with Jim here at Manor Lanes 2, you should get a trophy. So we're going to find out how that shakes out. What have we learned, Sue, about the way these lanes are going to impact our House League bowlers?
I think they might find it a little bit tougher. They might not find the pocket as easily as they normally do, so we'll see how they move around and play them.
All right, so we've got 4 bowlers amongst the best here at Manor Lanes 2. We're going to crown a champion, so let's get rolling. So here we go with our Manor Lanes 2 championship, and our first match will feature James Tomsick in the green shirt on the left versus Donald Hoyt. Winner of this match advances on to our championship game. Got a little handicap at play here as well too, Sue, but not much of one. James is getting just 1 pin.
Right, so virtually scratch. Both these guys have decent averages, 200 and 202.
And Donald Hoyt gets us started off with a strike.
Did you run the league shot while we weren't looking?
No, I did nothing. But these guys are bound and determined not to embarrass me because they don't want to feel the wrath of Jim.
The repercussions would be endless. He is Jim Russo, the proprietor here of Manor Lanes 2, and our regular Beat the Champ buddy, going to help us out with this final show here, because you have the in-depth knowledge and key tidbits about our competitors.
I know things.
I know you do.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell us all of the things you know, just the ones that are the most important.
Pertinent information. Jay bowls here on a Friday night league, a mixed league with his wife. The league bowls out of St. Christopher, and they'll be starting now, I think next week their league starts. They're a once-a-month league, actually, and we ran some in-house qualifiers, and during the league, we took their scores to qualify them for a competition, and then we brought back 24 bowlers, and the 4 that we're going to feature on today's show are the top 4 from out of that competition. James averages 202, I believe.
That is correct.
And
Donald's right about the same.
And Donnie's
200.
right about
James is 200. Donald's 202.
200 and 202. So the difference is a pin in handicap, and they're both capable of coming up with some big games. And we'll see what happens as Donnie tries to double up here.
Yeah, there are the numbers on Donald, 36 years old, a mailman by occupation from Niagara Falls.
Donnie bowls here in a Wednesday night league. It's called the Wilbur Wright Memorial League.
No thumb, huh?
No thumb.
Does that have anything to do with the Wright brothers there? Is that you honoring the gift of flight there with the league?
Actually, Wilbur Wright was a gentleman who bowled in our in the Wednesday night league for many years, and he passed. And after he passed, the league thought so much of him that they voted to name the league in his honor.
That's awesome.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, he was a real fun guy, and everybody enjoyed being around him. And he was a real big loss when we lost Wilbur.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a great way to honor someone who meant so much to a bowling center like this, to perpetuate his memory by naming the league after him. That's fantastic. So there you get a look at Sue Jeziorski in for Janelle Sabin manning the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard with our early scores in this match between James Tomsick and here's Donald Hoyt in the 3rd frame. So how excited was everybody around here when they buzzing about the qualifying for this, right?
Well,
you had everybody all worked up, didn't you?
Yeah, because over the years I've had, they've seen other centers do it, feature their league bowlers, and we've kind of stayed away from it. Last year we did the open hour open.
That's correct, that's right.
And then the year before, I think we did a mother-daughter thing for Mother's Day. So the house bowlers were kind of edging me on, trying to get me to...
Where's our glory?
Yeah.
You get to be on TV all the time and we haven't been?
Us? Yeah, so we're...
Well, I know that Fred, who's coming up in the next match, bowled in the league I waitressed on Tuesdays, and I know he attempted to get in every single solitary week.
He did.
And we know Fred likes his bowling, so he's going to feel
Fred
real
was
good.
a high qualifier, so each of these guys have their own, individual characteristics. Donnie is bowling without a thumb. Jay bowls in a couples league, but he's far and above the best bowler in that league. A little later on, Freddie Abbott, as you mentioned, Fred is notoriously slow. It takes Fred an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes. That's how bad Fred is. So we may have to get him.
It's only an hour show, right? He does know that, doesn't he?
We have talked. We have spoken. So hopefully he realizes that.
James Tomsick is 30 years old. He's from North Tonawanda, employed as a driver for the North Tonawanda DPW. 200 average for James.
Another little tidbit here that you're going to see is a show. I know you're big on shoes, on bowling shoes.
Oh, yes.
You're going to notice that Donnie is wearing a pair of 9.5 size rental shoes. Not because he can't afford his own, but because these shoes are so comfortable that the truth, he wears the bowling shoes every single week. The same bowling shoes every single week. And a little later when Nick Brown comes up here, Nick will be wearing a size 15 house shoe. And same reason, because they're so darn comfortable.
Because you buy the most comfortable house shoes available.
That's right. We have the most comfortable bowling shoes of any bowling center in Western New York.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV. Yep, it is that time of the year when so many things around town kind of get started. School, the football season, the Bills will open this weekend, bowling season. It's that summer comes to an end and everything sort of gets started right after that.
So true.
We send out a postcard to our junior bowlers. It's back to school, back to football, back to bowling.
There you go. That pretty much summarizes Western New York in one sentence, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
How many years have you been a season ticket holder now?
This is my 50th year.
How about that?
Good for you. That's amazing.
So, I'm not sure whether that qualifies, what that qualifies
I
me
would
for.
hope and assume it will qualify you for something, but at the very least, a lot of admiration from a lot of Western New Yorkers. That's pretty amazing.
Perhaps a Purple Heart.
Well, at times,
Some of those
yes.
years.
At times, that may very well be true. So.
No, we've had, over the 50 years, though, people say, how could you have stuck with this team when they were, 2-14 and they had such horrible teams? But I enjoy football. If I'm not watching the Bills, then the Dallas Cowboys are coming to town, or I hate to say New England Patriots,
Yeah, don't.
but some of the better teams. So
all right. So with that said, as a 50-year season ticket holder and one of the biggest Bills fans that I know of, as the season gets started tomorrow in New York, what are you thinking about the year here?
I think this is going to be one of the best years we've had.
Good to hear.
In the history of the Bills. I really think they're going to be the NFL surprise team this year.
All right, there you go. You heard it first.
Now let me
Right.
qualify that by saying that every year I say pretty much the same.
Hey, this is the 50th year he said that.
That's
Four
right.
of them he was right.
That's true.
Yeah. I've been to three of four of the Super Bowls.
Which one did you miss?
Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Atlanta.
A lot of people always say Minneapolis for some obvious reasons, which was actually a fun, interesting Super Bowl based on where it was at the time. But I don't blame you for, after 3 in a row, for maybe skipping that 4th one. So.
Yeah.
Well, I know you think an awful lot, like a lot of other Western New Yorkers do, that this is going to be the year and things are going to go and fall in place. So for everyone out there, I certainly hope so, and we deserve that around here.
It makes everything better. When the Bills are doing well, makes everything. Your customers are happier. They're spending more money. They're smiling a lot more. They're happy when they're bowling. Even when they're, half of the people that leave the center are losers. You know that, and they're even happy when the Bills are winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a great camaraderie for the city, and whenever the sports teams are doing well, it just seems like everybody talks to each other, and it's like you have that common bond. There's nothing like it.
And that's the conversation throughout the bowling center is, talking about the Bills.
And we'll throw a little plug in for the UB Bulls, who got their season started a little over a week ago. And then as this show airs you tonight, the Bulls are playing at Penn State, a night game, which you can catch in a couple hours after this show airs on Saturday. And that'll be fun. Anytime you go to a place like one of those meccas of college football, it's always a fun atmosphere. So lots of good stuff going on here, sports-wise in Western New York, with bowling certainly being right on that list. Yeah. So we're heading down the stretch here of this match.
Donnie left the door open, and
James left a big opening there
go
too.
Through it.
Yeah.
There's your Greek church for you that you've been waiting for.
Oh, there we go. We finally got the actual correct. That's right. 2 on one side, 3 on the other is the official. I misidentified the Greek church on last week's show, so. The calls and letters have been pouring in about that, so mostly from Greg Merkel, but we won't. So this one is literally right down to the stretch here as we get ready for the 10th frame for both guys.
Yeah, James with an 11-pin lead, and we'll see if he can shut him out here with the 3-bagger.
Well, we've seen some unlikely and unexpected endings here in the last month here at Manor Lanes too.
And we could see another one right now, because this is setting up to look like one of those amazing finishes.
Winner of this match will take on the winner of Fred Abbott versus Nicholas Brown in our next match for the Manor Lanes 2 House League Championship.
So what the score is not reflecting is the 1 pin of handicap that James is receiving.
That's right.
And I didn't think it was going to come into play, so I didn't worry about it, but now it looks like it might.
Very interesting ball right here.
Oh boy, that got a lot of wobble on that 10 pin.
With that and the 1 pin, he kind of seals the deal, doesn't he?
With the 1 pin, it does.
It's going to be a 181 with the 1 pin score.
The best Donnie can do is 180, so it looks like James is going to move on to the next match.
There you go. So we now know who one of the spots is going to be owned by in our championship match. It's going to be James Tomsick with the win over Donald Hoyt. Who else is going to be in that championship match? We will find out. That's our next match coming up from here at Manor Lanes 2. More of Beat the Champ right after this. $181 to $170. James Tomsick with the win over Donald Hoyt. So here you go, your first chance to bowl on TV and to bowl in front of a crowd. How did it go for you?
It went pretty good. I was a little nervous, but couple bad shots here and there, but overall, I think I did all right.
You're not
First time.
gonna have to continue to pay for this loss by buying a lot of people drinks here around Manor
Probably,
too.
yeah.
Kind of figure that. So league bowling is just starting. You're getting going on another season. What is it that you enjoy so much about being in a league and bowling here?
Oh, it's just nice. It's nice. Jim does a good job every year, and getting out with the boys and having fun with my family and friends out here. So, doing the best I can.
Oh, that's a heck of an endorsement for you. There,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
Donnie Bowls on Wednesday night, and if you want to join them, there's still time for people to get into some of these leagues. We still have openings for teams, even though we started. It's not too late.
Good to know. All right, make them
And-
feel a little better there, will you?
Here, this will pay for a little bit of bowling
All
for
right,
you.
thank
That
you.
I expect to see that back.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you, hands you a check,
gotta give it
cash,
right back.
you got to give it right back to him. So, all right, we've got one more spot up for grabs in our Manor Lanes 2 House Bowling Championship. Who's it going to be? We'll find out next here on Beat the Champ. Match number 2 of our Manor Lanes 2 House League Championship features that gentleman, Nicholas Brown. The challenger is Fred Abbott in the blue shirt. So the winner of this match will move on to take on James Tomsick for the big, giant Manor Lanes 2 House League Championship trophy that you've got prepared back there, right, Jim
Yes,
Russo?
Yes, absolutely.
Life size.
Big trophy.
Tell us a little bit, Jim, about Nicholas Brown.
Well,
And
Nick-
well, we'll start with Fred, because Fred's coming up here now.
Okay.
Other than what you've already told us, which is he moves at his own pace.
He does. We'll see how well he does. Anyway, Fred bowls here on Tuesday nights, and he qualified in our in-house challenge from that Tuesday night league. And Fred is an avid bowler. Fred is in here, takes lessons from Cindy Colburn on Tuesdays during the summer. He's out here practicing on his own, and he really takes the game seriously. Got his own fan club here.
Yeah, I like it.
He's got Sheila, who's one of our more avid bowlers in the crowd, cheering him on.
So he's a regular, basically. He's a
He is
Manor Lanes 2 regular.
Regular, yeah.
Even the regulars think he's a regular.
Even Sheila the regular thinks that Fred's more regular than
She
her.
thinks that Fred's here too much.
I think every bowling center in Western New York has those people that are avid bowlers. You know, they bowl in 1 or 2 leagues. They're in practicing. They just enjoy the game so much.
And the atmosphere, I mean,
Yeah. Well, they come in and everybody here knows their name. You know, it's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name, and they know what you drink, and they know what you like to do. They know your characteristics. They know what kind of car you have.
You spent a little time bartending here at Manor Lanes 2. Do you know what Fred likes to drink?
water with lemon, lime, and a straw.
See, I knew I was setting you up for an
And
easy softball
I have
there.
it on his table as soon as he walks in the door.
How about Nicholas? What does Nicholas like to drink?
I don't know, Nick.
Oh, okay. See,
Nick's here on Wednesday when Sue isn't here.
Gotcha. Tell us a little bit about Nicholas.
Nick is the gentleman wearing the house shoes that are a size 15.
Which appears to be a trend here.
And, you know, he loves them. I tell him, you know, you can buy a pair for less than what it's costing you to rent them, but they wouldn't be the same. So,
It's the aroma that he
Yes.
probably likes.
well,
That's what everybody likes about bowling shoes.
the aroma.
The combination of sweat and spray.
They are sprayed, they're disinfected.
They are.
All right, how old is the oldest pair of shoes that are in possession here at Manor Lanes 2?
I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 years.
Oh,
We
that's
don't
good.
we don't
Good.
have any that are too old.
All right, that's
when
good.
When they get a little bit ragged, we kind of throw them out,
Yeah, or you give them to Greg Vojtovich.
or we give them to,
Right.
or we wear them. If they're the right size, we wear them around the mall.
So figure in about 4 years, these two guys will own their own shoes.
Well,
When you rotate them out, you can give them these.
No, you got to set up like a rent-to-own program here. You know, after a certain amount of rentals, then you just give it to them. So
Look at Freddie go.
Freddie's perfect here through 3 frames.
Doing well.
Somebody get him a water with lemon and lime and a straw.
That's one way to keep the pace.
Yeah, no kidding. So Sue, beyond, we talked a little bit with Jim about his league, but it's league bowling time now. They've all started now. So give everybody, whether they've been in league for 10 or 20 years or maybe in it for the first time, what's the mindset of a league bowler? How do you need to be prepared? How do you need to approach that league night?
Well, even though it means the transition from summer to winter, to fall, I think that league bowling is just something that even though you look at it as a commitment, something that keeps you together with your friends. I know that besides the competition, I make those people that I spend my Wednesday nights with, I would make, you wouldn't see them. You wouldn't have excuses to, your life would take over and you wouldn't see these people. So socially, that's the biggest benefit to me of league bowling is the social atmosphere. And even league bowlers on Tuesday that I wait on, I think that's the biggest reason to go. Yes, it's good. It's nice to get a new bowling ball, and it's nice to figure out the lanes are doing, and we want to figure out the lanes are doing, and then get a new bowling ball, that matches up with the center you're bowling in. But most of all, I think it's more important to just enjoy the people that you're with, and don't make excuses to give it up and say you're going to come back next year, or you don't have time for it, because that's saying you don't have time for the people that you spend quality time with. So that's my biggest avocation of league bowling, is just the camaraderie with the people.
I know there are a few people out there that say they quit league and they don't miss it, but for every one of them, there's a half a dozen that take off a year and they're right back the following year saying, you know what, I thought I hated it, but I come to find out that I really do enjoy it. So,
well, I think that it's the measure. It's the measure of winter, and our winters are long. Whether you bowl or you don't bowl, winter's long. So what are you going to do? Hibernate in your house and watch television for 6 months? This looks like a good time to take a break. We'll be back with more Beat the Champ right after this. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
and this time he's going for the pocket.
Great shot.
Fred has some of the best body language reaction as the ball is making its way down the lanes that I think I've ever seen on our show. I'm just watching Fred. I'm not even worried about what's happening at the other end of the lanes. I'm just watching Fred, because he'll tell me what's happening at the other end of the lanes.
It's one of my favorite Candid Camera episodes where they just focus on the bowler's reaction after the ball's been thrown. It's a lot of fun.
Boy, you are old when you're making Candid Camera references, aren't you?
Well, I never said I wasn't.
I remember the show too, Jim, so I don't feel so bad.
And Fred has been practicing that 10-pin all week. I can't believe he missed it. Oh, I heard that. I'm sorry.
So the winner of this match between Fred and Nicholas will take on James Tomsick for our Manor Lanes 2 House League Championship and the undying admiration of Jim Russo and the rest of the gang here at Manor Lanes 2.
Right, we're going to put a big picture of the winner up at the counter.
Love it. There you go.
Looks like, to me, it looked like he was almost trying to play that left side again, and it didn't quite get over there.
Oh, the Brooklyn side?
Yeah. Yeah, he crossed over a couple of times in this game for strikes,
I don't know.
and I think he's doing it purposely. I could be wrong, but highly unlikely.
Don't question the bowler's strategy, Jim. Come on now. There's a purpose for everything. Don't forget, next week we will move the Beat the Champ Traveling Roadshow down to Kenmore, Classic Lanes, where we will pick things up with Brandon Korzakowski as our returning champion versus 9 new bowlers. And if you watched last week's show, you know, if nothing else, Brandon is both unpredictable and entertaining. So if there's ever any better reason for you to tune in next Saturday, it's for those 2 reasons.
And a good friend of mine, Brian Borowski, owns Classic Lanes.
That's right.
And Brian is now the treasurer of the National Bowling Proprietors Association, as well as the president of the New York State Bowling Proprietors Association. So very active in bowling, promoting the game as well as running our own bowling centers. And Brian and I were kind of the person that initialized the contacts to get this show back on.
And that's great, and we thank you for that.
We're very proud of that.
Yeah, and we've had some great conversations with Brian, who's told us what his role is nationally and how that group that he's a part of is helping grow and get the sport moving on. And we've had some really interesting conversations. We'll have more of those next week with Brian as well too. But again, I'm glad you brought that up, and we thank you. And I think Western New York thanks you for having the idea and the vision to say, hey, let's bring this show back. And all of us are excited to be a part of it. And I think we've gotten this show back to being a little part of Western New York and its history. And people that watch it come up to me all the time, and people that don't bowl like to watch it because it reminds them of when they were kids or when they were watch it with their parents and their family, because there was relatives that were on the show, or they just got caught up in the show with Nin Angelo and all the great names back then. It really does have a piece of Western New York nostalgia, and it was a pretty foresightful on your and Brian's part to say, let's get this thing back.
Well, we're competitors, but when it comes to promoting the game, we're on the same page. And I'll tell you, we had our golf event earlier in August, and if you want to see a group of people come together, the Bowling Proprietors Association of Western New York, the USBC from Buffalo, and the USBC from Tonawanda got together, and we run this golf event every year. You played in it, didn't you?
I did. I had my moments, and then I had my not so good moments.
But anyway, we ran it together, and we have all of the beer companies, the beer distributors in the area help us out.
Well, there's a surprise.
All of the banks joined in and helped us out. And I mean, you cannot have a better example of the whole community backing up bowling, and this is all for youth scholarship funds. So I'm very proud of the fact that we're able to bring all those groups together for one cause.
Somehow you've convinced the people at the East Aurora Country Club to keep letting you come back.
Yeah, that might be the biggest upset.
Yes, I think it is, because that is one of the jewels of Western New York. As far as country clubs and golf courses go. It's certainly home of the International Junior Masters and just one of the great golf courses in Western New York. So it may just be getting back to normal after surviving the Proprietors Tournament in the beginning of August.
Oh no, Freddie was there also too, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Freddie was at the golf tournament. He's an avid golfer.
So yeah, so that's something to put on your radar for next. It's always first Monday in August, right? Get yourself lined up for that one for 2020.
Yeah, we're a little early, but give me a call. I'll get you in. We'll get you on the list.
All right, coming down the stretch here of match number 2 for our Manor Lanes 2 House League Championship.
So Fred needs 7 pins and 2 balls to win this match and go on to the final match. Oh, 7 it goes.
There's
8 it is.
And so Fred closes Nick out.
There's the 8 pins that Fred needed. So it's going to be a Fred Abbott versus James Tomsick Manor Lanes 2 House League Championship. We will talk to Nicholas, get his take on how this one went, and get you ready for the final match when we return for more of Beat the Champ at Manor Lanes 2. 180 to 167, our final score. Fred Abbott advances to the championship match. Good showing by you, Nick Brown here. How much fun was that?
It was a lot of fun.
Not too much with the crowd and the lights and the TV cameras and everything.
No, after the first couple shots, I kind of got used to it.
I think you struck on it for the first couple shots
I did,
too.
yeah.
So there you go.
Started on a good note.
Just kind of getting going with the league bowling season. What is it that you like so much about this sport?
Yeah, it's just nice to get out and socialize with the guys a night a week. And I've been bowling for the last few years in a league at Manor too. It's just always a fun night to get out of the house and do something.
All right, sounds good. I think in lieu of his prize money, why don't you just tell him he can keep the shoes and not keep paying those rental fees?
You want to do that? No, I don't think
Trying to be a deal maker here.
All right, we want to give you that, and that makes up for having to leave work a couple hours early today, but hopefully you enjoyed the experience.
I did, absolutely.
Just tell Joe Dash I said it was okay for you to get out of work a little early. So, hey, good showing by Nick Brown. We got a championship match. It's coming up next here on Beat the Champ. So here we go. One of these two gentlemen are going to be our Manor Lanes 2 House League champions. Will it be Fred Abbott, the man in the blue, James Tomsick, the man in the green? We will find out. We're about to find out. It's our championship match now. We didn't have a whole lot of effect from the handicaps in our first two matches. This one's going to have much more of an effect.
Right, because of the difference in their averages. Fred's going to be getting 26 pins, and Fred looked pretty good out there.
Yes. Both these guys will look good, but Fred bowled very well in putting that 180 on the board to advance here. So right off the bat, James will have to overcome that 26-pin deficit, which means he's going to have to make those shots, strikes and spares.
And I just want to mention that Freddie mentioned to me during the break that whatever money he might win from this event, he's going to donate back to our youth scholarship fund.
That's great. That's awesome.
So I thought that was pretty big of him, not knowing whether he's going to win or lose. So.
Well, good for Fred.
Oh, that's nice.
So here's Fred, now his first frame, 64 years old from Tonawanda, as we mentioned. A regular here in the Tuesday Night League at Manor Lanes 2. Got that one a little bit to the right.
Yeah, well, the way the lanes are, you almost have to open it up a little bit, and he just got it just a little bit too far to the right. But Fred's got a very, very nice fundamental game. He's got a very loose arm swing, very nice push away.
And he's come a long way too, because and I try to tell bowlers, over the summer is a great opportunity to work on your game. There are a lot of great instructors in the area. Cindy Colburn being in the Hall of Fame, she's in every Hall of Fame known to man, and Cindy does a great job here, and Fred is an example of that great job that she does, because most of that comes from her coaching.
Nice.
And from Fred being, being here to practice, being here to bowl. I mean, just the reps that you get in the league bowling.
But you have to buy into it.
Sure.
Because one of the things that I see as a high school coach, you can talk until you're blue in the face, and you can teach all the right things, and you can be the greatest coach in the world. But if the person you're coaching doesn't buy into it, it's falling on deaf ears. There's just there's not going to be any progression, because they're just not doing it,
they're
not putting it into action.
So I'm going to ask you a question that's very commonly asked of coaches nowadays, because you've been coaching a long time. You've seen lots of generations, different kinds of kids. Are today's kids any easier or harder to coach?
I think they're a little more difficult to coach because they're into so many different things. They're not. Years ago, a girl like Lindsay Baker, who bowled for Sweet Home, she ate, drank, and slept bowling. That was all she did. When she got done bowling, she went and worked on leg strength, because she knew it was going to help bowling. Now they get done bowling and they go to soccer practice, or they go to hockey practice. So they don't dedicate themselves to one particular thing.
That's a very interesting point, and I think very accurate. Most sports are now year-round sports. You know, if you're not in season for soccer or hockey, you're in a summer season or an off season, or you're preparing for the next season. And clearly, as you said, and we've all, I think, seen that with our kids or grandkids. We live in a world where there's 1,000 things you could be doing, some of them all at the same time.
And that doesn't include Fortnite.
That's true.
I guess one of the common denominators of some of the young people that we have seen come on the show, take Ryan Reese, for example. He has that dedication to bowling.
Exactly.
So the ones that are coming out, Chad Nee, as he was growing up, he had that dedication to bowling.
Did either of those guys have any choice based on their parents?
Oh, wait.
They did. I think they did, though.
Yeah.
Of course they did. I'm just joking. Just the fact that both of their parents are very prominent in the bowling community here.
Sure.
Well, and if you take my grandson Dylan, on the other hand, he's a very good bowler. He's a two-handed bowler, bowled 7th grade for Grand Island, averaged 174. As a 7th grader, that's pretty good.
Sure.
But he was a hockey player, and he was a volleyball player. So, as a matter of fact, senior athlete of the year in both hockey and in volleyball. So he gave up bowling after the 7th grade. So.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the challenge of the world that we live in now, is that there are so many opportunities, which is incredible and wonderful. Look at that great strike by Fred. It's incredible that there are so many opportunities for kids, particularly young girls, because that wasn't always the case. I think you could speak to that. Certainly wasn't always the case, but in some ways it does present challenges to do lots of things, and I think, you know, we're all of the generation where the multi-sport athletes were what everyone aspired to be and looked up to, and now you don't see that quite as much anymore because it's such a specialized world.
Well, it seems like when I was growing up, it was as natural as going to school that you were going to bowl on Saturday mornings. I mean, it just seemed like what you did, and it would be nice if you don't really know what you are when you're young. You really don't know what it is you're going to take to or what it is you're going to like. So to be taken for one season to go bowl and see if you take to it, I think to get them in here is important. But in talking to parents, if the parents don't bowl, then they don't take the kids bowling. So this is a sport where you don't have to be in the gym 6 days a week.
Right.
Or on the ice at 6 in the morning.
Right.
You don't have to be the biggest, the strongest,
tallest,
the fastest.
This is actually something that you can use your brains, and then you can learn the fundamentals, and you could, like you said, win scholarship money, and you can just become very, very, very good at something, and there's something nice that goes along with that.
And we always say it's a lifetime sport, and it's a sport where grandchildren can bowl with grandma and grandpa, and that still holds true. One of the big things that's happening in the high schools now, they used to have what they called unified basketball for kids that were challenged, and now they've spread that over to bowling, and they've got some great programs that have started up in the last few years. So the unified programs are starting to quickly catch on in popularity.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Well, we got an interesting match going.
I'll tell you, while we're talking about this, I dug up one that I don't think Sue had ever heard of before. Do you know what a sour apple is?
I have heard of that.
See?
I haven't.
The 5-7-10 is a sour apple, according to PBA.com's glossary of bowling terms.
We call it a lily.
You call it a lily?
A lily.
I have a lot of people that call it things that I don't want to repeat.
I don't know why it's called the sour apple, but I do kind of like that a little bit.
I think that's the look on your face when you leave it.
That may very well be true. See, we're part of our job is to educate here, right? Educate Western New York's bowling fans. I think we should, you know, we're gonna talk to Chris and John and the big shots here at WBBZ. Maybe like a word of the week here, like we can do a little, you know, bowling terminology of the week thing. Maybe that's a Sue Navoisky segment.
People love that in the beginning when we would do the bowling glossary.
Yep, you know, but maybe it's maybe we, you know. I mean, literally, I exaggerated, but there's probably 100 different ways to describe all the different possible ways you can leave pins. So we won't run out of material at all. I know that. Oh, good pickup there for James.
Looked like I thought I saw a chop there for a minute. But it worked out.
This is our Manor Lanes 2 House League Championship match between James Tomczyk and Fred Abbott. And there's Sue Jeziorski with the up-to-date scoreboard. Again, Fred still gets those 26 pins, but James has cut into that a bit.
Right, there's only 12 pins separating them and 2 frames to go, so it really is a tight match.
And James just left the door open with that. If Fred can put a couple of strikes together here, he can take command of this.
The always pesky picket fence there, Jim.
Yep. And too pesky for that shot.
All right, so here's Fred's chance to put this one away as he gets set for the 9th frame.
We've had a lot of exciting finishes here this month.
Yes, we certainly did, and
not any bigger than when Brandon came back against.
I was just going to say that was one of the more dramatic. 43 pins down he was with 3 frames to go, and came from behind against a guy who had won 5 in a row and appeared to be pretty much unbeatable. So that's what's great about this sport and about this show is wild things happen.
That was a great shot right there.
A little bit high, leaving the 4-pin.
So yeah, it's been a fun month here at Manor Lanes 2, as it always is, and it's always memorable. And Chad Mee really was impressive in watching him roll through those 5 in a row after beating Chuck Jagosinski at the very start. Remember, we had those great couple of matches a couple weeks ago with Chuck versus Jason Siliberto, and then Chad, and then Chad's nice little run, and then turned into a Brandon run. So, so we basically had a winner, and then 5 in a row, and then 3 in a row.
Right,
so,
only 3 winners this month.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, I really look forward to hosting Beat the Champ. I look forward to the qualifiers. I look forward to the cut to 9.
Hosting it here, not my job, right? I know you look forward to that as well,
hosting the tournament itself.
I know you do.
It's a month. It's a good month for me. I enjoy it immensely.
We always like coming here, and you're a wonderful host, and we didn't even have time because the bowling was so good. We didn't even have time to get into any of your wrestling history. So we'll save that for
probably
next
better
time.
Left unsaid.
Yes, we'll save that. Hollywood, right? Wasn't that your nickname?
Mr. Excitement.
Mr. Excitement, same
you gotta
thing.
Get it right,
There's a strike from Fred Abbott. Speaking of Mr. Excitement.
The door,
Freddie just closed the door.
All right, so the door has been closed and the championship room is open now for Fred Abbott to claim the Manor Lanes 2 House League Championship with the winner of James Tomczyk. We'll talk to the winner, we'll talk to James, and we'll wrap up our stay here at Manor Lanes 2 when we come back. More Beat the Champ right after this. We have a champion. It's Fred Abbott, 185 to 160 in our title match over James Tomczyk. Are you going to hear about this a little bit on during those regular leagues here at Manor 2?
You never know.
I think you feel like you probably are, right? Yeah. How much fun was this for you, the opportunity to be a part of this?
It was great. I just didn't have it today. And I went through 4 balls in 2 matches. Not a good sign.
All right. Well, you got league play up and running here, so use this as a good prep for you to dominate your league.
Yep.
Jim,
here's a little something to help you along those lines, and you did great. Nothing to be ashamed of. You should be happy.
I think he's happy a little bit, sort of, kind of. I know who is happy.
Family.
Fred's happy.
Fred's happy.
Fred, you're one of the most avid practicers I've ever seen. Do you think practice makes perfect here?
Well, it certainly did help. Well, I came here Thursday and tried practice, and I said, oh boy, and got a lot of kinks out on Thursday, and kind of still didn't make me hit that 10 pin every time, but you know, it helped.
No, you did a great job, and not a condition that you see all the time, especially in league. And I think you did a great job of overcoming that. Saw that in practice a little bit.
I did, yeah. Actually, these lanes were a little easier than the practice lanes, so I was relieved to see that.
Well, that's always nice when that happens. But we have a little trophy for you. It's weighing me down. Congratulations, great bowling.
Thank you, sir.
And we have a little stipend.
Prize money.
Prize money. We have some prize money for you there, Fred.
And I'd like to donate that back to the bowling proprietors for the scholarship fund. And
we will thank you graciously for that. Thank you very much.
Good. But he gets to keep the trophy. There you go.
I'll
Gets to keep
prize
the
this,
trophy.
and I appreciate all the help that Manor Lanes did, and the Colburn Clinic was very helpful in getting me ready.
Excellent. Very well said. And that's very nice to donate that back to the kids and more scholarship money for our future bowlers.
Yeah, well, good stuff. Congratulations to Fred, our Manor Lanes 2 House League champion. Sue and I come back to wrap up our stay here at Manor Lanes 2 when we return on Beat the Champ. We saw 4 weeks of really fun bowling here at Manor Lanes 2, including some nice streaks like Chad Mee, and then Brandon Korzakowski's unlikely victory that led to his streak, and even Fred showing what practice can help you do here in this sport.
And that's right. It's whether you average 170 or whether you average 220, 230 like Chad does, the one thing they all have in common that made them successful this month was their practice, the way they practice. And Fred is a diligent practicer, and he came onto a condition that he will never see again, and really did a nice job. And look what Chad accomplished. And I mean, it all comes down to shot making, which you learn in practice, right?
Yes, Brandon Korzakowski is our bowler who will advance to next week's series of shows at Classic Lanes. I don't think you're going to be with us because Janelle will be back, but with Brandon bowling, you might want to be there anyway, right?
I'll be there just to watch the fun.
It was great to have you. It always is. Your insight into particularly the equipment part of this sport was great, so you know you are always welcome to come hang out with us.
I might stalk you.
Well, you know, that's okay, though. You know, again, I got Hall of Famers all over the place here. Nothing wrong with hanging out with them. We're done here at Manor Lanes 2 until next year. It was a fun month. We're off to Kenmore. Classic Lanes is the stop starting next week. We will see you then on Beat the Champ.
Good.